Okay, I wanted to show an interesting situation that is developing with our quick little World War II game. It seems like every time we set up a game now, it's always quick little. So that's where we're at. Everything's quick and little. The card was played for the Allied commander that allowed him to recollect his forces at will from wherever they were in a certain radius of the commander a squad, and huddle around him, place around him. So the commander squad was here, and the card was played that allowed all of the pieces to then be placed around him. And so then they moved into where you're seeing them right now. And they bailed out from the transports and so on. And the 50s, the heavy machine guns are opening up on anything that moves in this area. And it's definitely a lot of firepower. One of the squads, as you can see here, has gone prone. So that's the new prone marker that we made. And why did we do that? Well, because we wanted to. We wanted to show that it's not normal standing. The guys are laying down. And it's better to do this than put the stand on there like this and then show a marker of some kind. So take the stand off, replace it with this little thing, this graphic that we made, and it looks more realistic. So the target is this infantry unit here. And they've got a pin marker on them. So they've been pinned. Why? Because there's just a whole bunch of firepower coming on them that is not allowing them to move. It's pinning them down. That's the whole point of the marker. They haven't, as a matter of fact, registered any hits. They've been missing the target. But because of the volume of firepower and the other rules regarding this the suppressing nature of the firepower, that stand is pinned, but it has other stands around it that are trying to return fire. Notably, this MG32, and by the way, that's not an MG42. There's a huge difference between the two. That's an MG32, equivalent to a medium machine gun. Okay, it's still clip or barrel. I should say canister, can fed. But at any rate, that is the German at the corner of this little location right here. He is returning fire. But the fact of the matter is that the 50s are just overwhelming. The heavy machine guns on these half-tracks are just devastating, especially at this range. They're auto-hitting. But because these guys are laying down, the die roll has to be made to see if they do in fact suffer a casualty. So it's a question of degree. They are suffering incremental hits, but nothing as yet, because this just happened. So they are suffering an incremental hit. And at some point, they're just going to try and bug out of there because they're going to fail the morale checks, if there were any. Well, we don't do morale. We basically auto route something after it's gotten to a certain degree of casualties, as you know, with hex command. So in normal times, in normal rules, these guys would have a morale check based on the enemy, based on their situation, and then that would give a result. But that's not necessary anymore. It's merely a fact of what their casualties are that's determining their status. And right now, they're surviving. They're pinned, but they're surviving. So what does that mean? Okay, what all that means is when you miss, you still hit. It's a question of degree. So that is what we're doing in hex command. That was the biggest modification we've decided to make, especially during this COVID time of playing these games, as we say, quick little games, because the casualties just don't add up, and we want them to. So we're providing the optional rule that if you miss, you actually do hit. Okay, it's a question of degree. So these guys are getting incremental hits on this thing. So if one misses, it's going to hit. This misses, it's going to hit. These guys fire a little bit different because they're not heavy machine gun, but these are. So these guys are suffering hits, and I don't know offhand what their total number of hits has been, but it's obviously not good. This just happened, as I said. So the next move, they're probably going to be either completely destroyed, or that is to say wiped out, or they're just going to rout. And once they move, they'll just be picked. They'll be picked up, picked out, picked off. Sorry, it's early. Anyway, so that's what's happening. And that's why I wanted to show this little thing here where the card was drawn that allowed this to happen. And these guys have moved across and they're stopped and they're just firing. So that's the situation.